When using Microsoft Excel, a user is usually confronted with numerous amounts of error messages. Now hang on and let me show you the 7 most common error messages in Excel, why they occur, and how to fix them. Let's go.
If you use Excel on a regular basis, you must at least once have reached a point where you find errors in your spreadsheets and you're not sure what they actually mean or how to fix them. So with this video, we're going to look at the 7 most common errors that do appear in Microsoft Excel. Now, the first one would be the number of hashes that appear in a column. For example, in our data, you will find in column E that there is a number of hashes appearing in each of the cells. Now, this is a very easy one to repair. It only means that the value in that specific column is larger or wider than the actual column. So to solve this problem, you're just going to go between column E and F, hold the mouse in, and move the column to the side, and the problem is solved. The next error message we're going to look at is the hash value error message. Now, in our example, we have sales numbers, we've got a value, and then in this column, we just multiply the two values. Now, what happens if I replace one of those numeric values with an alphanumeric value? For example, let's type my name in there, and immediately you will get the @ or the hash value error. That just means that you try to do a calculation with a value that is not a number. So the only way to fix this is to actually type a number into the specific column or cell, and the problem is solved. Next, we're having a look at the hash spill error. Now, the hash spill error only appears with the new spill formulas in Microsoft Excel, or where you type in a new formula in a cell and it will automatically fill the rest of the cells. It's also called the dynamic array formulas. For example, one of them is called the unique formula. So what I want is I want the unique values out of these columns, or this column. So it means I would like to have one of each of the regions. So the formula is equal unique, and then specify the range, close the bracket, and Excel gives you the unique values out of that specific column. Now, for example, if I should type my name in any of these cells, you will find a spill error. Now, the reason for that is Excel wants to complete the rest of these cells with the correct answer, but my name is actually standing in the way. So if I click on that specific cell, delete my name, the dynamic array formula will then automatically spill into the correct number of rows or cells. The next error you might find is the hash name error. Now, I've already created the error. Now, if I double click on that specific cell, you will immediately see what the problem is. I double click on it and it says equal add. Now, add is not a recognized formula in Excel, and therefore I will then get the name error. It means you're trying to use a formula of which the name does not exist. If I actually double click in the cell and change the add to sum, which is a recognized formula, the formula works and the error disappears. The next error message we're looking at is the hash ref error. This means you're trying to create a reference to a cell that does not exist anymore. Now in our example, as I've said before, this specific cell, if I double click on it, is the blue cell multiplied by the red cell. If I now would delete the column F, I right click on the column and I say delete, there is now a reference error. If I double click on it, you can see it's saying I don't know what to do. It's E7 and I needed to multiply it with something I cannot find anymore. So be careful when you have spreadsheets with formulas that you randomly delete rows, you might end up with reference error messages. The next error message is the diff0 message. Now, it actually says it all. It means you're trying to divide by 0. For example, what I did here is I took the blue cell and I divided it by the red cell. Now, if I should replace the 1.2 with 0, you will see that I find the hash diff error, which means you're trying to divide something or a value with 0. Now in this case, if you want that cell to be open, you can bypass this error by using another formula which is called the if error. So how the if error formula works, if I click on that specific cell which is giving me the error, I'm now going to say if error, which means if error bracket. I specify the original formula, but I know that there might be an issue with the divide by and I might get an error. So I provide the original formula, but after the comma, I specify what I want to be placed in the cell if there is an error. So if the E7 divide by F7 gives me an error, rather say either 0 and close the bracket. So although there's nothing in that cell, it's not going to give me an error there, it's just going to give me a 0 until such time as I put something into the value column. So let's say we put 100 in there, it now solves the problem. If I copy this down, let's try it with another cell. I click there, I press my delete key, there's nothing in there, and usually I would have gotten a divide by 0 error, but now I have used the if error, so when there is a divide by 0 error, I ask Excel to just give me the value 0. The last one is the hash NA error or not available. Now this error usually appears when I use VLOOKUP. So what I've done here is I've got the data on the left hand side and I'm asking Excel to go and find the north sales value, the 12,000. So if I double click there, let's look at the formula. It's VLOOKUP J7, which is north, where in this red area, which is on the left hand side, the full database, I'm asking it to return the second column, which is the sales, and I usually use the word false. Now, if I should type north but spell it incorrectly, let's say I do this, I'm going to get a hash NA error, which means I cannot find that specific value. Now, once again here, you can bypass the error with the if error formula again. So I double click on this and I'm going to say if error, which means if this VLOOKUP gives me an error message, comma at the end, rather do the following, give me a value or a message. In this case, let's go for a message. We put it in inverted commas and we say region not found. And we close the bracket. Just going to make this column wider. So now, although north does not exist, it's not going to give me a hash NA error. It's now using the if error formula on the outside of the original VLOOKUP, which will now say if the VLOOKUP gives you an error message, rather give me a value or another message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this down, and let's say we type north in there. It's not an error message, but let's say south I type incorrectly. I will get another region not found.